I know, I know. I've done Altegeist Deck Profiles a lot, and I'm going to continue to do them. But this time, it's because I got a stand for my webcam, so I can you no longer have to really deal with those awkward like lap shots that you kept getting. You don't have to deal with that anymore. Plus, I got a new playmat. You can actually see the playmat, not to mention the cards, hopefully. So let's just hop right on into it. And of course, for our Altergeist lineup, 3 Altergeist Multi-Faker, obviously. Um, I think you all know what it does by now. But in case you don't, when you activate a trap, you can special summon it, which is really nice. But what's more, if it's special summoned in any way, shape, or form, you can special summon an Altergeist from your deck. But you're locked into Altergeist the entire turn, okay, the whole turn, that you use that effect. So if you summon anything, if you special summon anything that's non-Altergeist, you can't use Multi-Faker summoning effect. And that's that. Now, I don't know why people keep cutting this one down to 2. It makes 0 sense to. It's like one of the most important ones. Altergeist Marionette at 3. It gets you your traps. Whenever your hand is clogged full of Altergeist, this is the one you pray you see in that hand. Because, I mean, this is the only Altergeist in the deck that can do, like, anything by itself. You know, doesn't need help of anything else. It by itself is a nice monster negate. So, you should run this one at 3. 3 Meluseek. You can attack directly with it. Also, if it deals damage, you can send a card, which is really nice. And of course, you're probably gonna link it and send it to from the field to the grave to search for it with it. 2 silk. You know, the usual. You don't really want to see this card in your hand that much, mostly because it's just bricky. It's very bricky to see this in your hand. It's very terrible normal summon. And then the final Altergeist, 1 Konkiri. If you need it, you'll search for it. And that rounds off the Altergeist lineup. For the Hand Trap lineup, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Springs. It's the old reliable hand trap. 3 Effect Failure, very much reliable, and cheap. So that's nice. Ghost Spell is pretty popular in this format. Really, this can be like any hand trap you choose, Nibiru, Artifact Lancea, whatever. I chose Ghost Spell because I've been, it seems pretty good this format, and that rounds off the entire monster lineup. For the spells, just the 1 for 1. I've never really liked Extravagance all that much. I hate it. Like, I don't like it. I have a curse with that thing. Like, I never get anything good off of it, and I always banish 2 Hextia. For the traps, we're running 3 Personal Spoofing. You can cut this down to 2 if you want. I can get that. It's kind of breaky sometimes. I never find this thing ever. Like, I never open it. I never draw it. I never get this thing. I keep getting 1 for 1. I get this card more often than Personal Spoofing, which is weird. But yeah, 3 Personal Spoofing. You can cut it down to 2 if you want. I run 2 Protocol. You should always run 2 Protocol, because it protects your Altergeist. Opening the card's not that bad. It also is a free monster negate. You can choose to run 1 or 2 of this, but you should run at least 1. I'm running 2 Altergeist Manifestation, because I like using this card. I don't think the reviving effect is hard once per turn, but the effect to banish and get a trap from grave is. I know that for sure. But yeah, I think that the reviving effect is not hard once per turn. And you can just completely cut this card if you don't like it, but this is another good reason to run 3 Marionetter. Haunted Rock is really good if you don't draw it. It's like the one true Garnet in the deck. There are times where I just keep drawing this card, though, like it gets glued to my hand, but honestly, that doesn't happen too often. And honestly, I found it worth it to play this card because turn 1 Hexias are amazing. Like, you can get turn 1 Hexia if you get Marionetter plus any Altergeist in your hand, any, which is pretty easy, especially if we get Pukari. Then it's even easier. And that rounds off the Altergeist traps. For just the regular traps, 3 Infinite Impermanents. This card is a lot more budget now. Sorry for the blur, I don't know how the heck to really control that on this webcam. Yeah, 3 Imperm. It's like $20 per copy now. Hope it drops down to 10 soon. But, yeah. Imperm is basically just a trap version of Effect Veiler. This thing can get cross-out designated, unfortunately, so when that comes out, Imperm can be countered, but still better because it's still better than Effect Veiler because it's a trap card, not a monster, so it's harder to negate. 3 Solemn Strike. This card's, pretty good. Can negate many things that, it's just a nice thing to open up. Usually when I break an Altergeist, I see this thing in my hand, but it's nice to have interruptions in your hand. Usually when I break, I see interruptions, which is a good thing about this deck. 2 Compulsory Evacuation Device. I couldn't find a third one for the life of me, so I'm only running 2. And I completely cut Imperial Order because it's a trap format. Also, I hate the card. Like, it just drains my life points most of the time, and I don't like it. But I do run 2 Lost Wind. I don't know what I'd replace Imperial Order with if I found my last Compulse. So for now, I'm just running 2 Compulse and 2 Lost Wind. And that runs out. And that is everything in the main deck. Now for the extra deck, the lineup is a little different this time. I took out Super Poly. So the extra deck's a little different. We've got 3 Altergeist Hextia. It's our boss monster. It's really nice to have this thing. Like, Hextia is just an amazing card. It can negate spells and traps. It can gain attack points. It floats on death. Like, it's amazing. And for whenever you do combos, it's really nice to have this card, Altergeist Prime Banshee. You can run this at 1 if you want. I like having 2, though. I don't go into 2 that often, but it's definitely nice to have that second one just in case. You really do have the room in the extra deck. Plus, if you're playing Extravagance, it's good to run 2. I just personally don't run Extravagance. And that's all the Altergeist monsters in the extra deck. I hope that they release Memory Gant soon, because we'd be able to OTK and rip boards apart a little easier. That's something that Altergeist kind of struggle with. 3 Link Karibo. Basically, you use this to link away Meluseek. You just it's a way to get Meluseek in the grave, but it's also some kind of protection. I constantly open Marionetter when I get Meluseek, so I don't find myself going to Link Karibo that much, but if you don't play Haunted Rock, then you should play this card at 3, because, especially if you play Extravagance, but basically, it's just a way to search for Multi-Faker for free when you have Meluseek. 2 Altergeist, not Altergeist, Salamangreat Almirage. Almirage is a way to get Silk Engrave, and it's another way to get Melu Engrave, which is great. And when you're going second, 1 Relinquished Anima. This thing can, punish your opponent for playing poorly with their zones. And also it's a way to get Meluseek Engrave, so it can disrupt boards and also get a search off of Melu. And then we run 1 Borreload Dragon. Borreload Dragon's a nice out to Dragoon if you really need to go into it, but just remember, you can't make Borreload the turn you use Multi-Faker's effect, so do be careful about that. You really can't make any of these monsters the turn you activate Multi-Faker's effect. because it, only Altergeists. Then we have a Nightmare package here. We got one Nightmare Phoenix. Gets rid of back row, though I don't find myself going into it ever, but it's nice to have just in case. Same with Nightmare Unicorn. I don't find myself going into that ever. And Nightmare Griffin. It's another Link 4 I can play in the deck, though I would replace this thing with Memory Gant if I could. Memory Gant is just a nice Link 4 monster to have. You can easily OTK with it. And it's just overall a really nice monster. Nightmare Griffin's okay to have in the deck, but honestly, you never go into it. You don't go into many of these. Really, mostly just Link Kuriboh and maybe Anima. And that's it for the extra deck. For the side deck, you see, back in the day, we used to run this in the main deck all the time, but these days we just side deck it. Solemn Judgment. We know that life points matter a little more now, so we're being a little more careful with it, but we are, of course, wanting this card because it's still good. It's just we don't want to main deck it. I mean, if you want to, you can, but it's a good card. It's just that it takes away a lot of your life points. 3D barrier. I used to main deck this thing, but I've found myself not wanting to use it that much because if I go against a Link deck, I have to side it out, and it's kind of an auto-lose card. It's a brick. So I'm just side decking it. Basically, you can use this to go against Virtual World very well, because you can just say Synchro, they can't reach True King of all Calamities, which is great. I mean, I don't think Altergeist really have a weakness to that, because if I'm not mistaken, True King of all Calamities restricts only like one attribute, and it doesn't like make everything automatically turn into an attribute when they hit the field. It just makes everything at the time, that's on the field at that time turn into that attribute. So I think Altergeist have a resistance to that, but it's still nice to prevent them from like calling out Dark and negating Multi-Faker. Not to mention, it just stops them from getting Shen Shen, which is very good against Altergeist, because you want your things in the grave. There's a little more back row this format, so we're going to, of course, have a little bit of back row hate in the form of Cosmic Cyclone. My god, this camera does not want to focus on Cosmic Cyclone. But, oh my god. Basically, Cosmic Cyclone, just pay 1,000, banish back row. It's pretty nice to have that back row removal. And then I do only have one Nibiru. I plan on getting more, but in the Nibiru's place, I do run to Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. These should be Nibirus, because Nibirus are really good, but then again, the format's a little slower. Maybe I can just take out the Nibiru for another Kaiju. Because Kaijus are really good against True King of all Calamities, because you tribute it before it has a chance to use its effect. Of course, this does, again, lock you out of Multi-Faker, which is why you don't play cards like Pank and such. And the last card in the side deck, because I heard that's really good this format, we're running Artifact Lancia. Preventing your opponent from banishing is pretty nice, like Misk. You can prevent them from banishing that. You can prevent them from banishing some of their Qinglongs for Virtual World. There's decks that do banishing, and this is really nice to go against those. And personally, I just really enjoy kind of most of the stuff, but I'm probably going to take out this Nibiru and turn it into a Kaiju to go against VFD. And that rounds out the deck, but I want to show you something. So for you beginning Altergeist players out there, this is probably unthinkable, but this is something that the more skilled players tend to do. Normally, when you summon Multi-Faker, you're probably going to summon a Silk. I still find myself doing that a lot. But you can do some insane things with Multi-Faker and Melusik on the board with a Protocol. So with these on the board, you can do insane things. I'm going to need to move my camera up, though. That way, you can just have a little bit of a better view. Move the camera a little bit more. And I think this will do. So, basically, there is a combo that you can do. With just this, no cards in hand, nothing specific, and you can end on a grand total of potentially 5 interruptions, which is insane. You'll probably get 3, but you can end up on 5. First off, you're going to need to link your Meluseek and Multifaker into a Hextia, and activate the effect of your Meluseek to add your Marionetter. You're going to normal summon your Marionetter, and use its effect to set your Manifestation. So Manifestation is set. Now you're gonna, another thing that's rather unthinkable is using Marionetter's effect to pop your Protocol to bring back your Multifaker. Since Multifaker is special summoned, you can use its effect to summon a Silk from your deck. This is why it's okay to it's perfectly okay to pop your Protocol, because you're going to get it back later with Silk. Now, the next thing you're going to do here is you're going to link your Hextia and your Silk, not into another Hextia, but into a Banshee. Now, normally you'd probably try to chain block your Hextia, but I think it's better to chain block Silk. Because really, if they negate your Hextia search, you just lose one Konkiri, because you're going to get your Multifaker back later. So, it's okay if they Ash your Hextia. You get your Protocol back in hand thanks to Silk, so Protocol's in your hand. Now you can go ahead and link your Banshee and your Multifaker into Hextia and use Banshee's effect to add your Multifaker back to hand. So now, you have a board that looks kind of like this. And if your Hextia search went off, you would have a Konkiri in your hand. Now, this may not look like 3 interruptions yet, but you're going to, of course, set your Protocol, pass turn over to your opponent, you can activate your Protocol, and your Manifestation. Your Manifestation is going to grab back your Hextia. Be sure that your Hexias do not point to each other, because you don't want a Hexia chain, because it's really easy to disrupt them. You want them to be away from each other, so that way they can't, completely disrupt your negations. Next up, you're going to summon your Multifaker, and use Multifaker's effect in order to summon your Silk to where Hextia points to. The reason why you want to do that is because then you can use Silk to bounce your Multifaker back to hand, and still have a disruption with Hextia. They're probably going to, and the thing is, with this kind of board, they're probably going to get rid of your Silk first, because it makes sense, because you lose out on the Hextia disruption and the Silk bounce. So they're probably going to try and do that, but you'd still have the one back row negate, and you'd still have your Protocol negate, leaving you with 2 interruptions at least, but you could also have the Konkiri to also interrupt your opponent even further. Really, and this whole board stemmed from just having Protocol on the board along with Meluseek and Faker. Of course, you shouldn't be trying to do this all the time, though it is really good when it goes off. Unfortunately, the thing is, it's not always going to go off. You're going to face hand traps, and also, normally, you do have to summon the Silk to bounce your Multifaker for an interruption. But, the times where you don't need to do that, the times where you can just do this, along with the Protocol and pass, is insane. So, just remember that you can do that. Anyways, I think that's going to round it out for today's video. I plan on doing something with Tenyis later, but also I plan on doing stuff with Infinitrax. So, do look forward to some of those. I just need to kind of get the cards ordered so I can actually, mess around with them. But after that, I can actually start, playing some more games. And eventually, who knows, maybe I might try joining a remote duel invitational or something later, because I feel like I have grown to the point that I think I am confident enough in my deck to actually try and top one of these events. But that's for another day. For now, I'll end it here. Thank you all for watching this very long video, and yet another Altergeist profile, and and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.